And it's a prayer from the New Zealand Anglican prayer book, but it just seems very appropriate to start a new year. Lord, it is night. The night is for stillness. Let us be still in the presence of God. It is night after a long day. What has been done has been done. What has not been done has not been done. Let it be. The night is dark. Let our fears of the darkness of the world and our own lives rest in you. The night is quiet. Let the quietness of your peace enfold in us, all dear to us, and all who have no peace. The night heralds a new dawn. Let us look expectantly into a new day, new joys, and new possibilities. In your name we pray. Amen.
Chief Smith. Okay, Phyllis, will you do a roll call, please?
Vice Mayor Dale.
Present.
Alderman Elder.
I'm here.
Alderman Langford. Alderman Linder.
Here.
Alderman Proctor.
Here.
Alderman Rubel.
Here.
All present except Alderman Langford.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda, we need to approve the minutes if I have a motion.
I make a motion we approve the minutes. I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion by Bruce Elder and a second by Bill Linder. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next on the agenda, we have public comments. Do we have anyone present that would like to make public comments?
Is a question allowed?
Yes.
Just because I'm kind of new, I just want to know the history. Item 3 on the agenda talks about Spruce Street. Didn't there used to be no trucks on Spruce Street? And then a couple of years ago, we said, okay, we're going to put trucks on Spruce Street. Did we undo that and we said no trucks again? So that's where we are today. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The floor is open for any other public comments. Thank you. Okay, next, do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Okay, moving on. Let's go next to old business where we're going to discuss the sign ordinance. Andre, I don't know if you want to lead us in this or...
Well, I think you voted to discuss the sign ordinance, so
The question that we have is the removal of signs, and the signs that are in question, particularly in my eye, the auction signs and the real estate signs, and why we can't really change the law or our ordinances to allow those to happen. Because, you know, if you're an auctioneer, you're a realtor, these are kind of your lifeblood, and they're very good directional signs to allow people to understand where your sales are happening. And if you don't have those up, it's a tough deal for them to. advertise their product. And I think we need to change the ordinance particularly on those signs. And I've got some, resources that would allow us to, maybe make some changes to the ordinance that would, be not so invasive, but yet, I think they would, complement both the auctioneers' signs and be be not so intrusive for our public citizens when they see these. They'll go up, they go down within a specific time, and I think it's a good thing to have for our auctioneers. I know there's 2 or 3 auctioneers around here in town. We got one present with us, Amanette Eagle Auctions here. We've got a couple more here in town that advertise, and are not allowed to now advertise their product. And I think that we're kind of squashing their business if we don't allow these signs to be put up. And I'll open the comment field to everybody on the board here.
I'll say just briefly, there's nowhere in town where all signs are prohibited. So this sign ordinance that we passed last year only regulates the size of signs, the location of signs, and what kind of material that they're made out of. There's signs allowed in every single zoning district in the town of Livingston. Even temporary signs, which are typically, in my experience anyway, used for auction signs or real estate signs, even those are permitted in all districts as long as they're a certain size. I think it's 3 square feet. So the board can consider modifying that, but that's the ordinance that we passed. So if there's a conception that real estate signs aren't allowed or auction signs aren't allowed, that's just not the case. The only thing that the ordinance regulates is how big the sign is, where you can put it in the ground, and what it can be made out of. That's it.
I think what we're talking about is having maybe a specific area that they could put signs up, and I think they're larger than 3 square feet.
Well, I think in industrial and maybe some commercial, they can be as large as 24 square feet.
Okay.
So it just depends on where it is in town based on where you are on the zoning map.
But now, my question, I guess one of the questions I have is that they're on the state right-of-ways, and nothing against Walter. Walter, you're doing your job, but are we taking up signs that are on the state right-of-ways and versus being in the city, or?
All that matters is whether it's inside the city or not. If it's inside the city can regulate it regardless of if it's a state right-of-way. State right-of-way doesn't mean that the state owns that land. The land belongs to whoever the state took it from for that road, and the only thing that the state owns is an easement or a right-of-way to go over that area for road purposes. They don't have the right to say what you can do with signs, but the city does.
All right. Then I've got a couple of proposals here I would like to bring to the city council, board of aldermen, regarding these signs, because I think it's an integral part of these businesses and the fact that this is their livelihood. This is the only way they can advertise their product. I know that there's the internet, but if you look at what you've got out there, And a lot of these people that are looking at these signs are probably people that's 50 years old and older, and they're not internet savvy. They have no idea how to look at the internet and determine what's going on with it. They need to have directional signs and signs showing them where the product is, and it would be a good thing for us to have them on these right-of-ways for our business, our local businesses. I'll leave it at that and see if anybody has any comments.
I think, if I understood you right, as far as the temporary signs, if it's cardboard, coordinated board, that is considered temporary. So they are allowed to put them throughout the town, am I correct?
As long as you're in compliance with the rules that apply to temporary signs. And I guess this is where the right-of-way thing is coming up. The way the code is written now, temporary signs aren't allowed in any street right-of-way, whether it be the state right-of-way or a city road right-of-way, unless it's being held by a person. So you can pick it, you can stand out there and hold up a sign for a car wash, but you can't stick a stake in the ground and walk off and leave it.
So that's where we need to come up, possibly designated area, possibly.
That's an option.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we, I guess, have a meeting that we designate these areas to have these signs allowable. I don't know how I need to make this motion, but
Maybe a motion to have a work session to discuss.
that would be great. Yes, that would be awesome. Yes.
Right.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we have a work session to allow these signs
To discuss
having,
exceptions potentially to.
right. So I guess that motion's on the table.
I'll second.
Who said that, Bill? Okay. Okay, so we have a motion on the table to have a work session to discuss designated areas for signs by Bruce, and second by Bill. So let's take a vote. Is there any more discussion?
I'm thinking.
Okay.
Well, all it is a work session. We can decide what to do in the work session. I think that we can figure out what to do from there if we.
Whether we amend it or not.
Righto, yes.
All right, I'll bow out right now.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, let's take a vote.
Alderman Elder,
Yes.
Alderman Linder,
Yes.
Alderman Proctor,
Yes.
Alderman Rubel,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dale,
Yes.
motion passed.
Okay, motion passed.
Now,
Thank
I've
you.
got one other thing. I know that I'm talking too much tonight, but I think there's some interested parties regarding billboards here tonight. And, you know, as far as directional signs toward our beautiful downtown area, and I know this opens up another can of worms, but I'm going to open it up anyway. I don't care. And it'll go however it goes, but I just think we need to have a discussion on that also as a separate item. I don't know where this may go, but I think it's something that needs to be discussed. And I'm pro-business. I'm pro. I know the people in the downtown area are really wanting to have something that would help them grow their business. And we don't have anything like that would show people coming from 111, from the Kentucky area, from the Byrdstown area, from the Salina area, from the Gainesboro, Jamestown area, that would show people what we've got in our beautiful downtown. And if we had something out there on our state route, Highway 111, I'm not suggesting that we put a ton of billboards out there, but if we could do something that would have some directional signs toward our downtown, I think it would be something that would a great change to something that we don't have right now. And as I said, I'm not talking about a string of billboards out there, but if we could have a few directional signs that would go out and point people toward our downtown area, that would be something that would, I don't know what we would have to do that either.
Well, I will say, Alderman, that government signs under the existing code don't have any restrictions at all. So the city can put out any kind of sign they want to.
Okay, so we can have a discussion about that also? Yes. All right. I would like to include that in our work session, that we're talking about the signs. So if I can add that to it, I would like to add it to it. Or if we can just have the same discussion regarding those, that would be what I would like to entertain.
Okay, I think that that's something that we can discuss while we're talking about signs at our work session.
So you can put it in the notice.
Okay,
Okay.
So that way you can advertise it, but you're going to discuss these topics.
so make a motion for that as well,
I think
or
you
not?
made a motion.
He made a motion to do that, okay, all right.
Second.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so we have a motion to add discussion about billboards by Bruce Elder, a second by Rex Dale. Is there any other discussion?
You gotta be kidding me. We talking about billboards in town? So what you're talking about, Bruce? I mean, a privately owned company putting up a billboard within the city limits?
We can talk about that, yeah.
I'm just asking, is that what you're asking for?
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to add that to the work session as well.
Yeah, we can talk about all the above.
Yeah.
All the above, yes, uh-huh.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a vote on that as well. Do you understand what he's saying?
I
Just
understand what he's saying.
add that to the work session.
Yes.
So, okay. All right, Ms. Phillips, let's take a vote.
Alderman Linder,
Yes.
Alderman Proctor,
No.
Alderman Rubel,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dale,
Yes.
Alderman Elder,
Yes.
motion passed.
Okay. Moving on to downtown revitalization. Jean couldn't be with us tonight, so Ray is going to give us an update on some projects.
So I'm glad to tell you that on both the courthouse project and on the Main Street, Broad Street projects for TDOT, we're getting really, really close to the finish line. We have received draft invitations for bid. Those are being reviewed. There's 2 or 3 other administrative hurdles that we have to achieve for both of those projects. But my guess tonight is that we would probably be putting both of those projects out for bid in March of this 2 months from now. Finally, after let's see how many years, 5 years, 6 years. But ironically, that's not unusual for TDOT projects, particularly local program projects these days. It takes forever to get through the process. So we're moving forward on both of those, getting really, really close to the finish line. Our third TDOT funded project is Little Street and Cedar Street. We are meeting on the 16th with representatives from TDOT on site, and we're going to look at the project. Recall that on the sidewalk project, the project looked like it was going to be grossly over budget, so that got us a little nervous about construction costs these days. And so the TDOT folks are looking at that for us. Instead of us having to hire a consultant to do it, they're actually doing it themselves. And so we're going to meet on site to make sure that they understand all the nuances of those two small sections of roadway, and particularly things that we had to do with the South Church Street project drainage-wise to get the drainage from South Church off the site. Some of that is for Little Street and for Cedar Street's already been taken care of. So maybe some savings there, but maybe some other costs that we hadn't anticipated. South Church Street is essentially complete except for pavement marking. We'd love for it to be complete so we can go to Appalachian Regional Commission and do a closeout and get all of our reimbursements back to the city. But that pavement marking may take a while, and I know that the mayor's been talking with the folks at Rogers Group, but you can only put that thermoplastic pavement marking down in certain temperatures and above, and we hadn't had any of those lately. And if you look at the forecast, I'm not sure that we're going to have any until maybe late February. So it may be one solution that would maybe spend a little extra money is we could probably put some temporary paint down as opposed to the final deal if we thought that was necessary. I drove that, went back and forth a couple of times this afternoon, and it looks like folks are maneuvering pretty well, parking on both sides, working. I was particularly impressed by the pedestrian lighting that we have down through there now. That's so very similar to what we have on Spring Street and other parts of town. That looks really good. Lastly, and this is moving from downtown revitalization, recall that we got a grant from the state to do economic community development grant to do due diligence studies on the last remaining lot in the city industrial park. Those studies have been completed, but in those studies, because we had used part of the site for a burn pit for quite some time, the consultant recommended that we do what's called a limited phase 2 environmental assessment. I think at the last meeting you all approved moving forward with that with their consultant S&ME. They have completed the field work, anticipate having the report completed next week. We don't anticipate any adverse findings in that. We didn't burn any nasties in there. We just burned, storm debris, basically, tree limbs and such. So we don't anticipate. All the other studies passed muster. Everything was fine. So doing these due diligence studies then allows us to go back to the state again for a second round of site development grants. And as it happens, that cycle is upon us right now. Now, that's the good news. The bad news is that we have to be completely closed out with this current site development grant project before we can apply. Well, yes, before we can apply for an additional grant. We think that that's going to happen. We think that we can be done and closed out, I think by February the 7th is the cutoff date. So I think you have before you a resolution that would allow the mayor to apply for additional grant. And recall, those of you that were on the board at the time, recall that when we initially applied for site development grant, we applied for the due diligence studies and to site prepare the site with a 100,000 square foot building pad, with a 100-car parking lot, graded out and with the storm drainage and such. Because we hadn't finished the due diligence studies, we weren't eligible for the construction phase. So now, the resolution that you have before you would apply for the construction elements that we could not successfully apply for in the previous round. So really we don't have a firm best guess on construction costs yet because we simply haven't gotten into the process. But if we go back to 2023, when we did had our consultants do a preliminary engineering report, the construction cost was somewhere around $500,000 to do the site grading, put stone down, grade the parking lot, put stone down, and run the utilities. So what I have proposed in this resolution is that you authorize the mayor to apply for a grant in an amount not to exceed $750,000 with a 10% match, so the match would not to exceed $75,000. I don't think that when we apply, I think it'll be closer to the $500,000 than the $750,000, but I only wanted to come before y'all one time and be able to move forward. So if that resolution as written suits this board, I would recommend approval by the board.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Rex Dale and a second by Bill Linder. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Any questions on our roadway projects? None.
Thank you, Ray. Hopefully we'll get our projects bid out here soon and get those rolling, so when the weather gets a little bit better. Okay, next on the agenda is a property maintenance update by Walter Rutherford.
Good evening. So you see before you, I have the reports put together for the Q4. So we had a total of Q4, 28 cases created. In Q3, we had 53, so you see kind of a little bit of a down tick there. It's due to most of those in Q3 had to do with property maintenance. So a lot of overgrown lots. And then you see that we had total payments for Q4, and what this was is a property that the city had to go in and clean up, and then we billed the property owner, and they actually paid the invoice. So we had a total of $907.44 for Q4. When you go to the next page, you see Q4 case count by status. We see you have 12 closed, 1 is in a lien, and then we have 15 that are still open. And a lot of these that are open has to do with vehicles. So that takes quite a bit of a process to deal with those. So we go to the next section. I was going to add something to it, this for y'all as far as in regards to our permits. So you see in Q4, we sold a total of 29 permits. These were everything from new homes to remodeling projects. Of course, with TCAT, there's a lot going on over there as far as remodeling. Everything from roof permits, decks, and mechanical permits. And you see the total that was brought in for Q4 for permits was $11,951.30. And then when you go to the last page there, you see Q4 permit count by status. We have 7 that closed in Q4. We opened 21, and then I have 1 that's waiting for them to come in and pay for their permit. Any questions?
Is these permits for a year or a quarter?
A lot of them is for a year, but like the mechanical permits, those are good for 6 months.
The $42,000 on the quarter 4 report,
On the very first quarter,
is that for all of last year or?
my understanding with that one, it was a lot to do with TCAT building their new diesel training
Okay.
facility, so that was quite a hefty permit. Apparently, we sold them. So.
Any other questions for Walter? Okay.
That's a nice presentation, by the way.
Very detailed. Okay, next on the agenda, we have heavy truck traffic on Spruce Street, and I'll let Alderman Linder talk about that.
I can answer a lot of your questions now. I have run the plant over there for 38 plus years. And at one time, we had 8 semis going in and out of that plant. Of course, they went down Myers Street, and then when they come in during the day, they come in down Spruce Street. So when we opened back up, and within this 38 years, I had one complaint from a person coming down Myers Street, and the drivers was sitting in the parking lot raising their motors. We took care of that. But after we opened the plant back up, had an individual come and want the street closed. After the main highway turned into 2 lanes plus a turning lane, if you're sitting there at that red light and these cars to your right, there's no way to make that turn at the red light. So you have to come up Spruce Street or go all the way around the bypass and come back in. So I would like to ask the board to open Spruce Street back up. This individual complaint was they was racing up the trucks, I'll say, was racing up Spruce Street. Well, called the police, write them a ticket. If it's my drivers, write them a ticket. They know better. They got CDLs, they get 2 or 3, they won't be driving a semi. So, again, I would like to ask the board to open Spruce Street back up to large trucks.
I'm having a hard time remembering where Spruce Street is. And I know where you're coming in off Main Street at the traffic light, right?
The old Leroy Card building?
Yeah. Oh, that little corner there. Got you. I know where you're talking about.
They
now.
were-
Got you, yeah.
And, you know, one of her complaints was kids and animals. Yes, I don't want no kid ran over or no one's animals run over, but you've got the same issue on Myers Street too. Again, if my drivers or any drivers, and they do race down there, and I'm not saying my drivers, because, well, that's a different story. Again, if it's my drivers, write them a ticket.
Do I have a motion to open up the truck traffic on Spruce Street again?
It's only like 1,000 feet or something, isn't it? That's what it is, right?
Yes.
There to.
From Main Street.
Over to Myers, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
I make a motion, we open it up.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Bruce Elder to open Spruce Street back up, and a second by Arno Proctor. Do we have any discussion?
Bill, what turn did you say you couldn't make if somebody was next to you?
Pardon me?
What turn did you say they couldn't make?
At the red light up by the vault place?
Okay.
Turn there by Wilbur Ball.
Yeah.
And they can't turn left if somebody's, I got you.
Right.
Barely.
Any other discussion? Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor? Okay, all opposed? And that is to open the street up. Motion passes. Any more explanation needed on that? It was just, I think the original one was just to block truck traffic through that area?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Under other business, I do have one thing because Shannon is here and she had a little report for us, so I'm going to bring her up now.
It's the second time I have got shocked since I've been in here tonight. But thank you for letting me come up and speak for just a moment. I think it's probably safe to say that anytime downtown revitalization is on there, you may as well just put chamber also, because I will probably have something to say every time. So Jean wanted to make sure that I mentioned what a huge success that Christmas in the Country was. I have talked to many of our downtown businesses over the last few days, and they all felt like this was definitely a terrific shopping season for them, especially the first night. First night's always the best. They did say that the third night was a good night as well. I think the weather was just kind of off on the second night, but overall, it was a great event. It was the square looked amazing, thanks to our city employees who worked so hard getting all those lights up. And I'm still amazed at how fast they came down. But just want to thank them all publicly for all their hard work, because it did look beautiful. During the event, WCTE was there. They came up and did some filming for the Wish You Were Here series, that's Adventures of the Upper Cumberland. I don't know if y'all have watched any of those, but they had a great piece on Christmas in the Upper Cumberland, and we were featured in the show. So if it's something you want to go back and watch, you can stream that on WCTE on their website. And we've been featured on that quite a few times before. And you'd be surprised at some of the amazing places there is in the Upper Cumberland. So, you know, one day when you're sitting around and don't have anything to do, you can binge watch the WCTE's Adventures in the Upper Cumberland. Also, we did hire a videographer to come and video each night of Christmas in the Country and some of the parade to help us to advertise this event this year and in our future years. So I do feel like this will be a great little production, and I look forward to sharing it with y'all. Also, we'll be having a ribbon cutting on January 16th at 9 a.m. with Livingston Academy to celebrate the grand opening of their Lead Career Center. This was a great project for LA, and they're very excited about this, and the Chamber is as well, because we were able to use $50,000 of our 3-star grant money to help them to get equipment for this building. And what this building is going to do is, in short, it allows students to have the opportunity to have real-world experiences, have some career exploration, and determine, you know, what path that they want to take when they get out of high school. So I would suggest that if y'all can carve out a little time on the 16th at 9, come check it out, because I really do think this is going to be a great addition to Livingston Academy. And not only that, one of the things that this particular building is going to be able to house is a lot of different types of, it's going to teach people entrepreneurship, it's going to teach them marketing, and the chamber is going to be able to be involved with them a lot when it comes to that as well. So it will definitely add some different opportunities for the students. And also, I wanted to give y'all a quick update on our wayfinding signage program. So just to recap, our tourism enhancement grant that we applied for $100,000. We did receive it, and it is to help fund a wayfinding signage program for Livingston. Some of the things that it will do is allow for some of the things that Bruce was talking about earlier. It will help with some directional signage for people who are coming into our community that aren't familiar with our downtown or familiar where everything is. It will help show them where they need to go, whether it's to our downtown, whether it's to Central Park, additional shopping and dining. So far, what we have done is we've talked to other communities. One locally, just next door to us, Jackson County, they just finished up a wayfinding signage program there. And it actually, it's done a lot for them so far. Everybody seems to be really happy with it. We are going to contact the company that they worked with this week. Actually, they've already reached out to me. So I'll have an appointment with them soon to start discussions on how to move forward with this. And the Downtown Revitalization Committee, along with Lori, we will be sitting down to discuss placement for the signs and where it's going to make a difference. And I think that's all I have. Any questions? Okay.
Nothing for Shannon? Okay.
Thank
you. Okay, is there any other business? Rex?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second on motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Meeting adjourned.